Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, Forged here. Today I'm going to be bringing you an absolutely amazing team for Hydra that does not include a Wixwell or a Titus. So if you don't have those guys yet, don't worry about it. I might be able to help you out with your solution. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's just an absolutely phenomenal team. And when I finally got it all to work, I was very happy with the end results of it. So we're going to be doing it on Brutal Hydra today. And as you can see, it's Lamasu, Mikage, Krisk, Elva, Taras, and Ninja. So let's take a look at the presets, and that way you guys can see what their stats and speed are looking like over on the right side there. So Lamasu, we want her primarily using her A2 for her block buff and the decreased speed. And then we got Mikage. Her, we're going to be using solely for the ally attacks for buff and her A1 because she's going to be pairing up with Ninja on her A1 on every single hit. And then we got Krisk, who we're going to be primarily using the A3 for the provoke and the increased defense and the increased speed. And then we have him using his A2 for the ally protect, just so that we can make sure that Ninja and all of our other ones stay alive. And then we got Elva, that we don't really need any presets on. She's just going to be there for support, for buffs, for revive if needed. And then Taras, we want primarily using his A3 because that move just absolutely slaps. It increases with damage by 15% up to 500% for each buff on each ally. And then his A2 is just an absolute single target newt. Ninja, you primarily want him using his A2 hail burn just so that he's placing those HP burns and everything like that. But as the beginning of this run goes on, let's just talk about the team, why I brought everybody for their reasons and everything like that. We'll go over the lineup again. So for Lamasu, we brought her because she has a speed lead of 24% speed in all battles, and that all battles is very important. And then she also brings decreased speed for all of the bosses. She brings block buffs for all of the bosses. And then since her A1 is AoE, I have her in a hex set just so that we make sure that we get our hex that we need in our lineup. And then Mikage, she's going to be using her A3 for the all ally attack. And so she's going to be bringing increased attack and increased crit damage, which is going to be huge for Ninja. But then all of those buffs are also going to buff Taras's damage for his A3. And then her A1, she's going to be hitting with Ninja on every single hit because her passive brings a Shadowkin along with every single A1. Krisk, we bring him because he has the increased defense and the increased speed. He brings provoke that we need. He also brings ally attack for some extra survivability for everybody, just to make sure that everybody stays up and alive. Elva, we bring her for the cleanse in case we get poisons, true fear, anything like that. Or if somebody goes down, even with the ally protect, she's there for the revive. She brings block debuffs for everybody, which is huge. Taras we bring just because he's my biggest nuker on my entire account. Recently just got a 6-star soul for him through on Crushing Rend. So his AoE scales off of buffs on everybody for the team. And what that does is for every buff, he gets an extra 15% damage all the way up to 500% damage. So as you guys are seeing in the background, he's just absolutely monstrous on that AoE hit. So for Taras's damage, we also have to look at all of the ignore defense that he gets too. So since he has 6-star Crushing Rend and we're going on Brutal Hydra, that's going to be 29.5% ignore just for that because the boss is level 295. And then he's also in 6-piece Merciless, so he ignores 35% 35% defense there. He has the Helm Smasher Mastery, so he has an additional 25% there, 50% of the time. And then my area bonus, he ignores an extra 16% for Hydra. So at the most, he's going to ignore 105.5% of their defense, which is over the 100%. So he's going to ignore all of it sometimes, but the minimum that he's going to ignore is 80.5% of their defense on every single hit, which monstrous. It helps so much for freeing everybody when they get devoured later on in the fight, as you'll see. But it just makes a huge difference the more that you can ignore defense, because as the Hydra difficulty gets more, or it gets later on in the difficulty, their defense just becomes so much that it's hard to land big hits on them in order to get real damage out of your champs. Ninja, we have in Savage, so he's going to be ignoring 25% of their defense there. He also has the Helm Smasher Mastery, and then he also gets another 16% from the area bonus as well. So in total, at the most he's going to ignore for their defense is 66% of their defense max, and then the minimum that he's going to ignore is 41% on every single hit. So not quite as much as Taras, because I don't have the soul to go with it for the Crushing Rend, nor do I have him in 6-piece Merciless, because I don't have 2 good sets of Merciless yet for this necessary level of difficulty. But then if you're looking at this team and you're like, wow, I don't have a Krisk, or maybe I don't have my Lamassu yet from Siege, or maybe I don't have a Taras, let me give you some replacements. That way, maybe you can come up with another idea that's close to this on your account. So a good replacement for Krisk that everybody will get is Vizix, because she brings the provoke, she brings decreased speed, she brings the ally protect, she brings the increased speed for everybody. So she's a very great option in case you don't have Krisk. For Lamassu, if you don't have her yet from Siege, then you could use Ugo. You could also use Wukong. Basically anybody that is going to bring that block buff for the Hydra heads. If you don't have Elva, you could use Pythion, you could use Marishka. Basically anybody that's going to bring a cleanse and a revive, and you'll be set. Taras is very, very hard to replace. There's only a couple of champions in my mind that you could use to replace him truly. Marius, Trunda, uh, it's very slim pickings when it comes to him, just because he hits so hard and his damage scales so high that he's almost irreplaceable in this team to make it work. Ninja, you could use any other huge damage dealer like Thor, Tholen, any other big damage dealer that you may have on your account. Mikage, you could replace with any ally attacker like Padraig, Osgrin, Firekin the Fat, Longbeard even. Just anybody that's going to bring the ally protect, or not the ally protect, the ally attack for your team. And then talking about Hydra a little bit as a whole, um, the main debuffs that you want to bring for Hydra, in my mind, are Hex, just so that you can make sure that you're getting any splash damage, as well as you can target the head when he comes up that you need Hex to be able to target. Can't think of the name right at the moment. Bring Provoke, block buffs, decrease speed. All of those are going to be your necessity debuffs that you're going to need to bring for Hydra in order to make this work, or to make really any team work in Hydra, especially in the harder difficulties. So that's kind of my take on Hydra for this team. Now I'll let this battle play out, and then we'll come back to it, and then you guys can kind of watch the last couple turns of this fight before we take a look at the end damage, and then we can take a look at the gear that everybody is in, as well as their relics, their blessings, masteries, all that kind of stuff. Alrighty guys, we'll be back in a little bit. All right, welcome back. Let's take a look as we're coming into the end part of this fight. As you guys can see, the team is just done absolutely phenomenal. I was at a loss of words when I first seen it. It was a big improvement from what it was prior to Ross getting his 6 star. And then in addition to that, I swapped out Vizix for Krisk, and in doing so, that brought this team up from around the 275 million to 300 million, all the way up to around I've seen as low as 500 million, and I've seen as high as about 545 million so far with this team. But it has exceeded all expectations. Um, and I'm just at a loss of words. I'm thrilled with this team and how well it performs. Taras's 6th star for his soul just made a huge difference. Having Krisk in there as well made a huge difference. The gear on everybody does help a lot. As you guys can see, there's a lot of protected buffs and everything like that. So as we finish, it comes up just underneath 551 million. So as you guys can see, Taras and Ninja just absolutely causing havoc on damage. So let's go ahead and take a look at the gear, the masteries, and everything like that. That way you guys can see how all that stuff looks. So Mikage we have in 9-piece protection, just so that she's placing protected buffs for the 9-piece protection. You gain 5% damage for each buff placed by the wearer. Have a relic for accuracy, not booked and not mastered yet, because this is a second Mikage that I just recently pulled. Taras we have in 6-piece Merciless as well as 3-piece Slayer. So he has the ignored defense from Merciless and some extra crit damage and speed from the Slayer. Absolutely stacked on crit damage. Have the Cat's Gaze on him just so that we have more damage. Fully mastered with, or fully booked with Crushing Rend, and fully mastered with Helm Smasher. And then moving over to Elva, 9-piece protect again, just so we get more damage for Ninja and Taras for those protected buffs that she's placing. Have her fast and tanky, and that way, you know, she's going to stay alive. Have the Wand of Submission for some extra HP and speed. Fully booked and with Intimidating Presence. Fully mastered. And then moving over to Ninja, who we have in 4-piece Savage and 2-piece Speed. 6,200 attack, 240 speed, around 280% crit damage with enough accuracy to land his debuffs. Have the Arethi Coronet and Nature's Wrath on him, just so that we can get some more damage scaling on him, and fully mastered with Helm Smasher. Moving over to Lamasu, who we have in our Hex set, just so she can place Hex. We have her fast and tanky to make sure that she's cycling through and staying alive. Have Brimstone on her for some extra damage. And then Krisk, we also have in 9-piece protection. You guessed it, just for some more damage for Taras and Ninja. Because just between Krisk, Elva, and Mikage, we're going to be getting an extra 15% damage per buff for Ninja and Taras. And go back in here just so you guys can finish seeing Krisk real quick. Fully mastered and fully booked. Have the Eagle Eye on him for some extra accuracy. Alrighty, guys, there you have it. There is my second team for Hydra. Let me know what you guys think down below, and let me know what you guys would like to see in the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great day.